Hello, welcome to Flory Models. I'm Flory. Well, straight on with it again. As you can see, really getting there now. We've got all the LED lighting and everything is set up with the Star Destroyer. So as you can see, we've got the engines all put in now. So that's work is complete. We've also been working on, here we've got the tower. Let's move that camera out a little bit. Sorry, it zoomed in a bit. There we go. As you can see, we've got the LED ribbon running around absolutely everywhere. And to be honest, we can show you here. If you watch part 5 of this, we'll cover this in massive detail, exactly how we did it and why we did it and all the other reasons. But there we go. That's how this lights up. So what we've got is the core, both sides in the middle. So when we drill holes through, you're not drilling into the back of an LED strip and things like that. We've got the strip at the top, which is, it's sort of in a wave. The idea being for it, the light is crossing each other, so it makes an entire circuit of light. Then the idea is this guy fits on the top, okay, and then hopefully you can see, but we've got these little guys down here. If we just drop this down a little bit, you may be able to see those lights. I know we've got huge studios, but you see they twinkle as they move. Well, the idea is, like reality with the light, we just don't want a shaft of light coming out all the time. We want it to be so it's almost, it moves so they get darker and lighter. I'm just trying to give it that sort of three-dimensional look to it. So, you know, don't get me wrong, the fibre optic way is a great way of doing it, but I've done fibre optic before on aircraft and that. And the only thing you find with it is that it's very strong and very sort of flat. It's just all light, no problem. But what I want to do with this is make it so it's almost, as you sort of look around the Star Destroyer, the lights will get brighter, they'll dull off and things like that. And obviously doing it this way, we can add a lot more. So I can just literally, as I did, I've got a 0.25mm drill bit and we're just zipping around absolutely with it. And then we can come in with bigger stuff. So we come in like a 0.5 mil or a 1 mil even, or even bigger, to make different sized lights. And that's the thing that I find is just a little bit quicker than messing around with fibre optic, because obviously with the fibre optic, you're limited to the size you've got. Okay, so you need to thread all those through, then do different size of other ones, so forth and so on. And don't forget, we can backfill the holes with coloured clear acrylic, which basically like the Tamiya range, you know, X25, 26, 27, things like that, to put little different coloured lights coming through, because they'll show through then, and away you go. But really, we're to the point now, which is great, because all the problems we've had with warpage, fit issues and everything else have all been taken care of and done. The only thing we've got to do, which I'm just about to do, is we come off camera, is paint the underside black. And as you can see, I've taken off all the resin, what would be the joiners together. I've gone now because we've got formers. I've got another one to come in here and one little one down the front, which hopefully will take the weight of this. Okay, but as you can see, we've gone around and we've done all the filler work underneath just to make sure we're all good. But this will be painted black, the same as the top half is, which is just out of sight. I can just show you here. Okay, this is all done. So actually what we've got here is the stripping goes all the way around the outside, obviously LEDs to the outside, and then what we've got just need to be installed. These are going to be layered up with LEDs, which are going to clamp on the inside to show it at each layer as we come through. So obviously we've got the lower layer, we've got then the upper layer, we've got another deck, okay, then it works up through the tower and everything else like that. So hopefully we'll be in a situation by tomorrow where I can actually get this together. Obviously I'm filming this on Thursday morning, so to be honest, after I've done this, I'm cracking straight back on with it this afternoon and Friday. So if you look on the Facebook page, maybe on the site as well, the forum, I'll put up a photo of it together for the first time. But obviously it's a little bit worrying, because when you put it together, that's it. Okay, all that wiring's got to be good, it all needs to be done. So I would recommend soldering all your joints just to make sure they're perfect and you don't have any problems. One little tip, which is unscripted this, but it's right in front of me. If you haven't seen it before, I would recommend this stuff. Now this is a soldering paste, okay? And the great thing about it is, it's just like this stuff, it's called the Mechanic. To be honest, I got it on eBay, and to be doubly honest, it's not even my trick. This is Steve Sutcliffe, one of the team guys, said to me about it, because what you can actually do when you open this stuff up, if I can get into it, okay, as you can see, it is literally a very fine paste. Just hoof this up. okay? It's just literally a paste, right? So the great thing with this is, what you actually do is you get your cable, you dunk it in the paste, okay, which coats it, and then you can just use a flame. And to be honest, I just use a lighter, which wherever it is around here, I just use one of these. I used to use the soldering iron, but I find with this, you can just put it on, it fizzes, it looks like it catches fire, dries, and then you end up with, because it's how I did these, with these guys, okay? And that's it, it's that simple. Really easy. It saves that hassle of having a soldering iron next to you going warm or waiting for it to warm up or constantly on the go. This way I just literally come out with this, there we go, job done, join them up and away you go. So if you are doing any soldering work and you just want quick easy jobs without the messing around of getting soldering iron out, getting solder out, getting your flux out and doing it all, I do recommend this stuff because it is literally very quick, very easy to use, you know, and you don't sort of mess around with it. Now, one little thing I've been asked lots and lots about is obviously working with resin and garage kits and things like that. Now, there's a little bit of thing going on exactly where this kit came from. As I say, I'm still standing by. It's one of the original ones which Angrid did. Angrid disappeared. Another company got hold of the molds. They made some dodgy ones. They got then told cease and desist by Lucas to stop doing them and all the rest of it. I think this one is generally older than normal purely because of its warpage and that, and I'm still standing by it. But just to show you, as I don't know if a lot of you don't know, but I like to do what we call garage kits. And this is my latest acquisition. This is the X-Wing, okay? And I just want to show you the difference between a garage kit and obviously something like I'm working on at the moment, which was obviously taken from an original, very detailed and everything else like that. And I think it just shows differently. First of all, to be honest, this is from, I'll just make sure I get his name correct. Scott Alexander in America. Now, Scott is a master modeler. He does incredible work. Pop on his website and you'll see amazing stuff that he can actually manufacture and produce and everything else like that, because, you know, he really does do incredible stuff. So if I just drop this camera out a little bit, okay, and to be honest, I'm just going to change my cameras over down there. Okay, so they actually will turn up like this. So in Scott's case, as I say, he's a master modeler. He does absolutely amazing work. If you've ever seen any of his stuff, you'll know. Okay, so he's put together that's his little welcome thing, and how to assemble it, and going right the way through the problems that you might find and easy ways to go around and fix all the problems and everything else like this, okay? And then you've got the wings, and as I say, this is literally a quick review. I'm going to build this one a little bit later in the year, so you can see this one later in the year. But as you can see, your box of resin will literally turn up something like this, okay? Then what you will find inside is things like this. Now, to be honest, I haven't even looked at it yet, so, which I normally do, but because I've been rather busy with other things. So actually what we've got here, this is, as I say, is the X-Wing fighter. Okay, so we've got the cockpit tub, just like this, on both cams. Okay, one piece cast resin, everything else, very nice. Okay, a little bit flashy, a little bit crude, but this is what garage kits are all about. This is where you, as a modeler, come in and to make it all right. Okay, and as you can see, we've got the forward or upper section of the fuselage, and okay, you can see by the moulding that it's a little bit soft, it's a little bit in and out, but this is where you come in to make it better. Okay, so you'll come in and rescribe all these panel lines and sharpen them up and everything else like this. Now this is what we call a studio scale model. So if we just undo some of these, this I believe will be the rear of the fuselage. Okay, so as you can see, we've got the holes in there, you don't mind as long as they're not on this side. Okay, but here's the rear, that rear engine section. Okay, very nicely done. But again, when you're just looking at it, I know there's drill bits in here, but you see the difference. And as I say, don't get me wrong, Scott's done an amazing job on this, but this is what I'm talking about, where people are saying that some guy did this in a garage. Don't think it really was, guys, because literally when you see garage kits compared to that thing, it's on a different ball game. So anyway, let's have a flick through here, because I'm excited now, because I haven't actually looked in here. As you can see, I haven't even prepared doing any of this. This is why it's a complete mess and absolutely everywhere. So here is the bottom section. So it will go something like this. Okay, and immediately, as you can see, we've got fit problems top and bottom, which will need to be taken care of. Okay, there we go, that's those. Around gently. Okay, and then down in here you will get, let's have a look in just some of these. We've got boxes with things like, very nice touch, here's the canopy. So obviously you don't get the clear parts, you put them in, but because it's flat on this, it's really straightforward, very easy to do. Okay, so there's our little canopy set. Let's keep that safe. We'll just see what's in these. So here's your bag of all your bits. So we've got backs of the engines. Okay, these are your detail parts. The engine intakes, little R2D2 sat on the top there. As I say, I will do a full detailed thing of this later on. Okay, more detail sets down there. We've got these are the laser cannons for the wing. Okay, right the way through. Alright, and what I'll do, as you say, I'll do a proper review of this. So last couple of bits, this is the top of an engine for the actual X-Wing itself. See, you can see, so lovely detail and everything else, but what I'm trying to say here is that it's slightly different to what we've been working on before. Okay, doing these, you know, as I say, don't get me wrong, it's a different way of modelling and everything else. All of these parts beautifully presented and packed and everything else like this, as you can imagine. We'll just pop these back in just for a second. Okay, if we pop these in like this, we should be okay. Okay, just drop those in. But as you can see, it's slightly different to what we've been working on before, as in a garage kit and presented and everything else like that. That's how I know that that one over there was done professionally back in the day, but now it's slightly different and everything else. But as I say, not taking it away from Scott, it's just this is what I call a garage kit. That's something a little bit different over there. Price of one of these, because everyone's going to ask about it. Scott occasionally does these. He doesn't do these all the time, okay? But as I say, pop along to Scott Alexander. He's on the internet. You find him everywhere, especially in the prop maker forums and things like that. I don't know if he's got a web address here. If he's not, guys, what I'll do is I will make it up. But basically, atomiccity@gmail.com or atomiccitymodels.com. You can pop to his website and you can see all about it. This kit works out around about $400. It cost me $440 to get it to the UK and everything else like that. And yes, I did get stung by taxes again on another one, but luckily this time it was only £20 and everything else. But there we go. That's a garage kit versus a manufactured kit that was done something else like that. Is that one a copy of the original? As I say, I think it's one of the originals just from it is, but I know there was copies of it done. I don't think that's it. But that's just me talking about the difference between a garage kit, which I know because I built loads of these over the years and I do love them. They're lots of fun because you use your modelling techniques as a modeller to fix any problems you get. But trust me, they are so much fun to do. Really, really enjoyable. So don't panic too much when you look at them and you think, oh God, you know, there's bubbles and that. That's really what you expect, okay? You're expecting it to be a little bit of work to put together. But where else are you going to find a 18-inch long, actually I think this one's bigger, this is the big studio scale one, which is like 1/16 or something, scale X-Wing. No manufacturer's going to make one out of plastic, so you're going to have to go down the resin route. And the guys that put these together, they're like a labour of love. They'll spend years researching, putting them together, and then designing them, and then when they're happy, then they'll make copies from the master and everything else that go out and do it. The Randi Cooper Star Destroyer is a fine example of somebody who's dedicated a large part of their life to make a resin kit for the masses from his own personal one. You know, I'm sure when he started he didn't think he was going to turn it into a kit that will be widely available. He was building it for himself, and then when you're doing it you decide to then think, I know, you know, perhaps somebody else would like to build one. I've done all the hard work, I could just copy it and make resin ones from it, and that's how they do it. But when you see the Randi Cooper one, again, nothing against his is a little bit more clunky, a little bit more heavy than this one, although his is, as I said, in the forum I mentioned it, I'll say it publicly here, if I was to build another one now, I'd go and buy the Randi Cooper one and build his rather than dealing with that one, because as I say, because of its age and its problems and its warpages and things like that, it's been a complete nightmare. So what I've done is cut it the hell out of it, used all the parts from it to make my own kit, because certainly it's nothing like the original. As I say, you can follow all of that on Flory Model, just hop in. As I say, it's going to be a while yet. Painting it and everything is the fun bit, which I love, and I'll be cracking on with that one. Anyway, that's enough wobbling, because I've completely thrown the news show now, so everything's going to go out the window. I did have 3 reviews for you, now it's going to probably be 2. Speaking of reviews, okay, first up we have, I've moved it, sorry. As I say, that's thrown me completely now doing all of that. First up, review 4, we're going to talk about the Hueys. Me and Sid have been after Huey Helicopters for absolute ages, and luckily some come up on eBay and we got some bidding going on there, and we managed to get a couple of Hueys for me and Sid, which we'll be building later in the year. So let's have a look at the Dragon Huey 135th. Hello, welcome to Flory Models review time. Something a little bit old, and a little tip for you all as well. What we got here is the Dragon 1/35th scale Huey. This is the D version, UH-1D. The reason I'm bringing this one up and reviewing it is I've been after this particular kit now for quite a while, and I've been bidding on eBay for them because they're no longer in production. Pretty hard to find at a reasonable price anyway. Yes, they're out there, but they're all over 50 quid. Anyway, I've been bidding along, and it was only when I was talking to one of our members, Sid, he's been bidding on them too, and it turns out we've been bidding against each other to get the same kit. So that's why prices have been going up and everything else. So we basically settled down and said, right, okay, you find it and bid and everything else. And I must admit, I bid on these 2 and got them at quite a reasonable price, around about £50 each. But you do get 2 flavours with the kit, okay? You get the Vietnam one, okay, which is obviously set in the era, so you get the crew figures for it, you get the photo etch and the weaponry, versus the newer one, the German one, and obviously it's got a few little differences which we'll cover in the kit. Basically this one's got the wire cutters, these blades that hang out the front with shred wires so they don't get caught up in there, and the crew and the crew figures inside, the soldiers in the back get different weaponry. Obviously they get more up-to-date weaponry, but basically inside the kit is exactly the same. A quick run through on the box. So as you can see on the outside of this box, it shows you with sort of M60s, M16s, things like that on there. And then the markings for this particular option, as you can see, you've got very much in the scale of the era. But as you can see, you get colour photo etch, metal photo etch, and the one down there. So what we'll do is, so that's that box covering there of the Huey. I say lovely artwork and everything else. But what I'm going to do is cut this one open, because to be honest, that's his, this is mine. This is the German version, okay? As I say, it's 1/35th scale, so it's going to fit in perfectly with your armour. And that's to the point to this one. They call it the AFV series, because being 1/35th, you can put them in a diorama set with anything that's 1/35th scale. In here we get an extra little bit of photo etch, because we get this bit down here, and it's slightly different because you get the little cutters on here, alright, but again you get full colour photo etch, which we'll look at in the markings. But obviously the German markings, we've got like the rescue birds and then one in sort of camo. But the great thing is you could then go out and do anybody else's, as long as it's the D version, which tends to be the more stretched version, right the way through. So in the box, get it open. All right, have a look quick through the instructions first. So, a little thing for the call out of what's not used, but in this one I think most things are used. All right, their usual way, it's quite complex the way it goes together, because it's not that complex, it's just they've chucked everything in one, okay? So we've got the normal colour call outs for the various bits and pieces. As I say, being Dragon, it does tend to be in the sort of, you know, a lot of Chinese written markings, things like that. So, usual thing, starting off with the cockpit just down here. We've got photo etch harnesses, which is quite a nice touch, and full armoured seats in this one, okay, and working right the way through, going through, as you can imagine, all the way in, and then into the actual main cabin at the rear, again, sort of seating, the more modern version, everything else. Photo is colour photo etch instrument panel, which is quite a nice touch, which we'll look at in a moment. Again with the floor, in goes with the rotor head and everything else. And then, as we were saying, if you watched us last week's review, we were talking about helicopters. This is what I call the more normal way of it going in. So what actually you actually have is the box section for the interior, then the outer bit goes on, which makes a lot more sense. Then you've got limited glass work going in. Again, photo etch wiper blades with this, which is quite a nice touch, things like that going in there. Very limited sort of engine detail, but it's enough, I think, you can actually see. Okay. And then obviously version specific with the aerials and things going on there. So again, it's photo etch parts going in the top. We've got photo etch bird shredder, which is going to go on here, which is the wire cutter. All right, and then obviously we've got some cleats going in for the bottom. rear things going on, and then in at the top. And as you can see, it's not that complex going together, and that's why I quite like doing this type of helicopter. It's big and chunky, so it's a lot larger, easier to work with than you would do perhaps a 148 one like we did recently. We did the Seahawk. And I say it's a little bit fiddly because when you're doing helicopters at that scale, there's lots of seams that need to be taken care of because they're very noticeable. On this one, it's a little bit more agricultural, shall we say. It's a little bit more sort of Cold War, chunky, lots of riveting and that, which we'll cover as we go through, but definitely a lot more fun, I think, building it. Markings, colour callouts, as you can imagine, it's in the gun Sanyo colour callouts and everything else as you go the way through in those German markings. But as I said, you can put other markings onto this from anything, and I'm going to actually build this one later on in the year, and I'm actually going to do it in red flag markings as a Russian one, so quite different. So you do the sort of blue underside, sand scheme on top, Russian numbers, Russian star on it and everything else like that to be that type of sort of effect, but that's just the way we like it. Anyway, on the back you can see we've got the colour call out, so it looks like they've got an SLRs for their guns. For some reason it looks like it's got an MG34 down there, RPG set, things like that, so it's more of a modern one, whereas the other kit, it has more the Vietnam. Exactly the same figures, apart from their weaponry is different, and obviously their tactical gear is different, so they're carrying M16s, M60s, saws, things like that. Okay, so there we go, that is basically all about it. So if we look in the box, what you get, which is quite a nice touch with Dragon, we get one of these. Get the right way up. So actually what you've got is a situation where, what have I done with my knife? Here it is. Sweet of having a clear up. You get these and they're sort of on a bit of card and everything else. So look, we'll start at the bottom, work our way out. Decals, as you can imagine, very basic. As I say, you can go out and do anybody else's. There's lots of decals out of this, but they usually tend to be quite nice as you work your way through. Okay, down here, as you can see, we've got full colour photo etch. It's quite a nice touch. We've also got all those harnesses, belts, things like that, everything you're going to need, a couple of placards and everything else, but that's quite a nice touch because it will liven it up. Being 1/35th scale, you can see in there very easily. Okay, so by having a colour photo etch set, it just makes a lot more sense and a lot quicker. Down on the front, as you can see, we've got these wiper blades. And again, these bird shredders, or the actual wire cutters as they're properly known as, in there. Some engine details we know, various things going down there. We've got this little guy at the back as well with all the bits and pieces for the German one, as you can see in there. So as you say, very nice touch to have all those extras, because normally you'd have to go out and buy that as an expansion set and everything else. Whilst they're here on the top, we'll just do these. So this is your crew figures. Now they are different in the different versions, because as I say, they've got different tactical loadouts and things like that. But as you can see, you've got multi-part figures. I'll just drop this top to cam down a little bit. So you see multi-part figures, as you can see here, so you can position them in anything you like, okay, just to give them a little bit more manoeuvring, and obviously the helmets are separate and things like that. So as you can see, pretty nice detail. I think they'll paint up quite nicely for something that's like a freebie out of the box. Okay, but it's nice they're multi-parted, so that way you can position them a little bit easier and better. In here, we have the weapons set again. So say it looks like an MG34, and then we've got the rocket launcher. Actually got separate butts on these, I assume. Oh, it's the folding butts and everything else. And we've got a little Uzi, okay, going down there. Quite a nice little touch. So if you were to do it as a diorama, then let's see, that's how we do it. So he says, not thinking ahead, slide the camera back out to get this in. This is the main one, the one we're all interested in. This is the detail on the outside of the helicopter, because again, at this scale, you're going to see it. Right, what you've actually got is, okay, it's 1,000,000 rivets flying in close formation. Very nice, very raised. They are big, they are chunky. Don't think this is sort of overdone. If you've ever been up close to a Huey, you know it's that sort of, 1960s sort of era, the way it was done. So it wasn't sort of aerodynamic and things like that. It was more practical of getting those in. But as I said, very nice detail. So it's recessed. It's a little bit heavy, okay, with the recessed detailing, but the raised rivets and that. The only thing is, obviously, with raised rivets, the problem is that one, obviously, it's not going to take a wash. It's going to be upwards, but that's not a problem because we can dry brush them in reverse to make them darker or lighter. But certainly, replacing any that you might lose during sanding would obviously be a little bit of a worry. But again, as you can see, it's quite chunky. It's quite agricultural. Okay. And going all the way down in there, we've got a couple of ejector pin marks. But as I said, you've got a closed internal cockpit area to take care of all of those, but not too bad at all. We've got the main deck, Okay, so this is the roof just down here. Again, it's quite nice. It's got a anti-slip checkerboard type look to it on the top here, which is quite nice. We've got these seats, the rotors. Again, you've got your checkerboard base down here. This detail, obviously, you'll remove anything down here. This will actually come away because we don't want that because you've got it in. Nice to have the gear in one piece so you don't have to worry about alignment. You can just sit it on the top and away you go. No sign of flash, ejector pin marks. Okay, the gates are a little bit heavy and things like that. But you say this isn't a new kit. This one has been around. In fact, I don't know how old this particular one is. I don't know if there's a date on this. 2007 it's saying on the box for that one. I don't know what the date is on this one. 2007 as well. So we're a few years old. Alright, but we've got soundproofing on the top, seems a nice touch. Everything else, you know, unfortunately you have got some ejector pin marks in the top here, which I think will be covered anyway. Somewhat around the rear. As I say, it's generally lacking in detail, but because of its scale, you can have quite a bit of fun of it. So what you can add is a little bit of simple wiring will go a long way. So like we've done in recent builds, like the Intruder, things like that, you could do, because of the scale, go around with some little wiring yourself, just bunch up coils of thin lead wire or soldering wire, do things like that, paint them, it gives the effect of actually being wiring. And it's amazing, you do a little bit like that, and you can change the entire appearance of the model and just livens it up and super details it up and everything else. Okay, rotors, obviously you only get two, hence its distinctive noise. So we've got no ejector pin marks in there, they look nice and straight, no problems. These are the details for looking through on the glass work. Again, I think you poke some wiring in and out. All the ejector pin marks are on the inside, which is fair enough. It's very big, it's very chunky, okay, but I think it'll work quite well. And even if you weren't to use the photo etch set, you might be able to see some of the details down here. That if we just bring this one in a bit closer, you can see we've actually got some nice seat belts down there, things like that, and just generally working our way around it. All the parts seem to be there. The gates are pretty heavy on this, but again, it's an older kit. It's nothing that's brand new. Okay, and something else for that. See, I can review this one now because, as I say, I've been after it for a while, and the bidding at one point was going up to £70. It's like, oof, that's a lot of money for this. So, you know, quite frankly, I wasn't going to review it or say anything until I got one. Okay, the glass work. It's over a curve, but even that said, I don't know how well you can see this down here. It's pretty wobbly. Looking through the internal, the front windscreen is, you know, pretty blurry. These are bowed at the back. You know, they're not the best. It's not going to be crystal clear, and I don't think even dipping it's going to make much of a difference. It's just the way they're actually moulded, which is very sort of old school way of doing it. But there's plenty of magnification and things like that in there. But they are clear, there's no cobwebbing or anything else on there. So generally it's quite a nice finish. And there we go, that's the Huey. As I say, I've been after this kit for quite a while and was always being outbid. Now I know why. So, you know, word to the wise, if you're after a certain kit, perhaps it's worth popping in the forum and saying you're after one. Somebody might have one. One of the members might say, I've got one in my stash, never going to build it. I might be able to buy it off of them, or certainly if you are in a situation where you're bidding against each other, you know, it can help out and do. So it's well worth popping in the forum and mentioning if you're after an old kit that's discontinued, something else like that. There we go, so that is the Dragon 1/35th scale Huey. Watch out for this build in the near future, because I'll certainly be doing this one as well. Okay, so there you go, Dragon Huey. As I say, I've been after that kit for ages, and I was bidding up to, at one point, one went on eBay for 75 quid, and you're like, gee, I ain't paying that, okay? But as I said in the review, get together with your friends, ask on forums about getting kits, and that way those unscrupulous people on eBay aren't making an absolute mint out of you by charging the world for a kit that perhaps somebody's got set in their stash. To be honest, I had a kit the other day, so it was a Phantom 1/72nd scale one, the Fujiyami. Somebody asked me about the kit and I happened to have it here, and I let him have it at cost, so to speak, so because they're on eBay and they're going for stupid money. But as you say, if I'm not building it, by all means you can have it. Anyway, next up, we got the review. This is Peter's kit that let me in. I should have reviewed this a long time ago, but I've only just got around to doing it. This is the Armoured Fighting Vehicles Churchill Mark IV with the Bunker Buster Mortar turret on it. Hello, welcome to Flory Models review time. This time we've got the ABF 1/35th scale. This is the Churchill Mark IV. This particular one is timing's pretty good because obviously we're getting to that time of the year where we sort of remember the D-Day landings. This is the Mortar version, hence was nice stubby little cannon on the front. This particular one actually has a huge mortar which is known as a bunker buster to be able to destroy bunkers. I think it was 27 made it ashore on the D-Day, and obviously it made its way down towards Dieppe and things like that. But again, lovely. As you can see, box art on the front, and what you do get, because I've had a sneak peek in here before, is a very nice, as you can see, little print there as well, which obviously you can mount up and everything else, but lovely box art and everything else, so very nice. So let's have a quick look in the instructions first. So, okay, you've got a little bit of blump down the front, which is, to be honest, what I just read. And it basically talks about what actually happened. So it's saying 29 tanks were deployed, only 27 made it ashore, and obviously it was fitted with the mortar system. Instead of the 6-pound gun, it's got the 290mm mortar, which became known as the bunker buster platform for it. Okay, so looking through, you see you've got a box full of stuff, full of parts. So let's have a run through of actually get. This particular kit, the Churchill, there's different versions of it, and to be honest, we've got another review coming up in the later show for the Mark. Let's have a quick look what we got in here, which is just the infantry version with obviously the 6-pound gun on it. So there is different versions of it, so it's a common platform. So obviously you'll be opening up various holes, various locations all the way through. As you can see, we've got a very detailed suspension system to be able to put in and all those areas. So as you can see, lots to put in and do, okay, to get all this together. It's not a straightforward job as perhaps some systems you might see. It is very complicated when you see this tank in real life. So you're working on these outer skirts and suspension system going in for the main track. Got some nice photos here for references of it all going through there. So obviously different types, you've got type A and type B for this one. You've even got riveting and bolts to be put in just down here, as you can see, and then working your way around absolutely everything. Carrying on, you can see the complexity of this actually kit of putting this in, the way we're up to part 11 and we're still talking about this track, even parts 13 and 14 before we start to bring it together. So it's a plate down the bottom, front and rear, and then obviously you're going to be going in there, working your way through. And in the top, the one thing you do notice about AVF kits is they're not your standard academy, shall we say, kit to put together. Very in-depth, very detailed, okay? So, carrying on, as you can imagine, working through the lower hull section here, putting in the exhaust pipe systems, putting all the extra armour. The link tracks, trust me, there's lots of them. 72 links tracks, we'll talk about those in a moment. Individual links as well, so they are sort of semi-working. Plating going in over the top, okay, then we've got the exhaust, these stowage boxes on each side. And then carrying on, so we're up to parts 25, 26 before you even get to part 27 of actually making the main gun. So we said upper turret, we're putting in the mortar system going through, which is the complete system as well. It's not just like the outer barrel, okay, and then right the way through. Okay, and as you can imagine, still yet more parts, couple of reference shots as well to show you what you're looking at. Okay, and then carrying on all the way through, putting in the cables, stowage, and then your different colour call-outs for different things. So you've got the 5th Assault Regiment, 1st Brigade in 1945. You've got the Assault Normandy Beat, 1944 one. Okay, and then what have we got? It's the same unit, Sword Beach, June the 6th version there. And then even you've got one for down in Italy as well in 1945, okay? All the way through. As you can see, very nicely done. Call outs for all the parts there on the back. So, in the box, we've actually got, let's have a quick skimmy down in these. We actually have, I'm thinking these are probably a match pair, which they are. A couple of these are rubber tracks, okay? And then looking down at the parts, very nice. AVF kits do tend to be very nice anyway, very sharply, very crisp, no sign of flash or anything else like that. Even the smaller parts we were talking about before, we've got very nice small sprue gates on these instead of larger ones that we've become sort of accustomed to in recent reviews as we were seeing. It's quite nice, they're small, they're delicate. It just makes removal of parts a lot easier. Okay, down into our next bag. as you can imagine, we're going to have a lot of sprues here which are going to be joint ones. As you can see, this is just a mirror image because it's got all of this complicated sort of relief spring system for the main tracks and everything else as you go right the way around. But again, we've got nice detail. We're talking very, very nice, which camera's probably best here, but you can see riveting detail is extremely nice. All the bolts and all the actual areas of detail on the cogs and on the gear and everything else like that, very nicely done, very crisp. No ejector pin marks on anywhere that would worry you. They're all out of the way and they're very shallow as well. Okay, but even the seam lines between these springs here are 2 passes with a sanding sponge and it'll be job done. Very nice indeed. And up next, careful how we open these. Okay, so down in here again, we've got, as you can see, we've got this very nice detail, which is showing the access hatches. This is the belly of the beast, so to speak. Again, nice mixture of raised and recessed details for all the nuts and bolts and welds and everything else, as you can imagine. We've got nice texture as well. There's different textures for different items, which is a nice thought. But just the detail on the little hatches and things like that, very, very nice. And again, on the inside, all the ejector pin marks, although you're never going to see them, but they're extremely shallow. It wouldn't take anything to get rid of them as you're working your way through. But they all do seem to be out of the way, but where you have got them, they are not a problem. Now, okay, a little sprue of clear parts. As you can imagine, it's just the periscope system for the hatches and things like that. Nothing really to talk about on those. Very nice, very clear, very crisp. You've got detail on with those, so you've got some nice riveting detail and things. Down on here we've got more of this gear system and everything else. Usual thing again, very nice. It's very sharp, it's very crisp. It's not softly moulded in any way or anything else like that. This is the Mortar set, which is obviously this will be one of the sprues, which is differences between different kits. So again, nice detail running right the way over it. Even the Mortar unit itself, although half of it's going to be inside the turret, it's nicely done. We've got some cast markings just down on here and things like that as we're working our way through. Again, can't see any problems with these at all. It's actually very, very delicately done. I do like the sprue gates, the way they're actually on. Okay, upper surface detail, again very nicely done, very sharp, very crisp. All the different for the hatches, for the locks and the hinges, very sharply detailed and everything else. I think the big thing I would say about it to describe this, looking through all these parts, and having never built a AVF kit, well, I've built aircraft AVA kits but not armour, is that it's all clean, sharp and very precise work on it. Nothing's softly moulded, nothing's, you know, out of the way. I don't know why this is in about 8 million bags, because they're all welded together. You can see here, I won't bother popping this one out. This is the lower part of the hull. Again, some more details on there. This is actually amazing. Didn't see this before, but you actually get, yes, you've guessed it. Let me just pop one out. If I can get to it. Trying to get in the bag, oh, well done. Okay, we have what I believe will be the relief springs, which just shows the level of detail on the kit. So we actually have these very nice relief springs which work. But again, it's just that something a little extra. It just adds that little bit more detail to the kit and everything else, which is absolutely exquisite. We will have a quick look at the turret, because obviously it's a focal point of the kit and it's where everybody will look. So we've got casting, so you've actually got the weld marks for the various casting areas and everything else. We've actually got printed in casting marks as well. Okay, and everything in, just the top. It's got that nice one-piece cast feel to it and texture to it and everything else, which means it's absolutely fantastic for dry brushing, for washes, for pigments, things like that as you make your way through. Absolutely exquisite. And as I say, it's a one-piece cast, and the release point I presume was up here with this little one bit is, but the rest of it is all very, very nicely done. Beautiful work. Pop him back in there, keep him safe. Okay, last one in here. We won't hoof these out again. Small little parts. I think this is a duplicate of what we saw before, actually. Okay, and then you can, which is nice to have the option, because if you don't want to be a martyr and make up links on tracks, which takes forever, you know, it's one of those things. You need to have some good tunes on or a good film on that you've seen before, so you don't have to watch it, and then you sit down for an evening and make tracks. Okay, if you're not into that, you can do this, which is the old-fashioned rubber way of doing it, which, as we know, the trouble with this is getting the sag correct and everything else. You can do it, but obviously you need to glue every single wheel and things like that to make it to go right. The thing is, with this one, you have to remember that all of the track is hidden for the top, so it's not like you'll see it sag too much. You've got little holes, but apart from that, this is the bit that matters, and it's all flat. So if you wanted to, and you're not a martyr, you could do it this way and get away with it very, very nicely, as opposed to something like a Sherman, because what happens is sometimes it raises up, which is a little bit unnatural and just the way it falls. Or you can do this, and I'm not going to get it all out because it's exactly the same, but as you can see here, we have every single track as a separate. So you actually get in here 5 sprues of tracks, okay, to put together, which, there you go, that's a boring evening. A little bit of photo etch, a little bit of wiring, well, wiring string to make your cable. Got another spring just down in here, okay, as well, nice little touch. Okay, and we've got your decals on the back, which we won't pull out, but you say we've got Cheetah, which is from the D-Day landings. Very nicely done. So yeah, it's another winner. I don't think you can actually go wrong. I've never seen a bad kit. As I say, I've never built one of theirs before, so somewhat this is not a best review for me to sort of, you know, pull it apart and everything else. But certainly from the guys I know, obviously our armour guys on the site and everything else will tell you that ADF kit's absolutely fantastic. Very nicely detailed, very crisp moulding and everything else like that. So it should make up to be an absolutely fantastic kit. So there you go. If you're in the market for a Churchill in 1/35 scale, this is a kit for you. Have to say, I do love that box art. It's absolutely stunning box art on that one, and I will be building one of these kits purely because I keep reviewing them now and I keep seeing them and they look fantastic. And say they're aircraft stuff. I've got both their F5s, for instance, and I want to do those one day, but I've never built a AVF Club actual armoured kit. But you look at them and they look so beautifully done, crisp detail, no problems I can see from looking at it at a sprue point of view. But having never built one, it's one of those things I have to do, so it's on my bucket list. So I'll be doing one of them in the near future as well. Don't know what it'll be yet, but I will be having a go, because as I say, it's some great work going on out there. Okay, so as I say, this new show's now completely gone out the window because I got on a rant. So my notes mean nothing, so I've got it over there as well. We've got to talk about it. We've got the excellent, get it? Excellent? No. Okay, I'm here all week. We've got the fourth annual Easter egg hunt. Some great work going on there now. I'm looking across because I've got it on my screen over there. We've got, what, 14 entries in there, and we've even got 2 completed. Now, I'm going to be clever here, and I know you can't see this, but you'll see this in my little insert. So the 2 we've got finished, because to be honest, I'm a bit naughty and I haven't been on the forum much this week because I've been playing with this. Okay, we've got the we've got the Hasegawa F14 Tomcat as an egg, which is very nice. As you can see there, that's in the little bounty hunters markings. Absolutely lovely. As I say, they are so much fun. Everybody in their lifetime. Again, bucket list. I'm going to start doing a thing now called bucket list of things you have to do in the modelling world before you die. One of them is to build an egg plane, purely because you can. It's one of those type things, and that's a great one. I didn't even know they did that one. It's converted to an F4. That's it. Look, the little saber. Absolutely fantastic. Well done, guys. Actually, that's a cracking one. That is cracking. Oh no. Okay, I'll stop now. I could have these all written down, but yeah, lovely job, Steve, on those ones. We've got lots of them taking part, lots and lots of fun, as you say. It is literally just a bit of fun. We used to do it quite professionally as a SIG and everything else, and we used to have prizes and stuff. And I'll tell you what, because now I've dropped myself in it, I will do prizes for the best one. What we'll do, we'll run a poll. As I say, it's completely unscripted today, so I'm really going to shoot myself in the foot. I will put a poll up when this is finished, and then the one with the most votes will get a full set of Sanders. Alright, so there we go, just a little extra on top of that one. And what else have we got? See, now I've moved everything, I'm terrible. Right, okay, next up we've got the support vehicle SIG. As I say, I got to the 4th of May on that one. We've got 33 entries, 13 have been completed. going really well. The latest group build going on at the moment SIG, was the Royal Navy Fleet Air Arm one there. 23 entries so far, so that's not bad. It's only been going a week or so into that one. And obviously the silver screen SIG. Now I know some of you are asking about extra time. Ideally, you know, as I say, we've got to the end of the month on it, which I know is only we've got another 20 days on this one. So if there's enough call for it, and i.e. everybody's beginning to panic, I know there's about 3 of you at the moment. I had somebody else message me the other day about extending it a little bit. If we get, I would say here, if we get 25 people want an extension on it, we'll extend it for another month. That basically gives me a bit more time on the Star Destroyer, because obviously the Star Destroyer for me is my silver screen entry as well. I'm probably sure I'll get it done in time, but it'll give everybody a little bit more time. But I'll say it here, pop it down into the thing. Again, I'll make a poll on the silver SIG chat area. If we get 25 people need extra time on it, we'll extend it, because I know there's some great builds coming on, and it'll be such a shame if nobody can finish in time. And I know now you're going to get the guys, they're going to say, but you said the ruling is, okay, I know, I'm just bending it because I can, all right? But as I say, I want everybody to really finish this one. After that, obviously, we will have to draw the line, all right? Because it has been a 6-month build. We've had plenty of time. The weather's been awful. There's no excuses. He says, working on that. Anyway, so yeah, 25, and then we'll go for it, all right? And we'll expand it a little bit. And also, I haven't made a decision on the next one yet either, for the next big group build and everything else, what we're going to do. So we'll sort that one out. Anyway, right. So I am completely lost today. I have no notes, no nothing whatsoever. Completely thrown. So I don't even know how long we've gone. This is terrible. Anyway, I'm going to leave you this week with something that has been around for a while, has caused a massive stir in the forum. Let me tell you how big a stir it was in the forum. Where are we? Featured builds. Here we go. So, Stefan Carlson, his featured build has generated over 17,000 views on the forum alone, okay, and there's been 388 replies on his build as well. And obviously, Stefan, if you're not a member, you should be, for one, okay, because what happens is we have a dedicated area for obviously all your builds, but also we have another dedicated area for sort of featured builds, which are the ones that you guys who are not subscribers can see. But what happens is that Stefan, as he's making his way through, chats about how he does it and answers everybody's questions, and people chirp up with other things, and people doing similar builds help out and all things like that, and it turns into a monster area. And to be honest, to put this into perspective, this is 17,122 views at the time of doing this, compared to the nearest one on it. I'm just trying to think who had a completion on it, which is an ongoing one, which will be Jelly's Vegan, which has got 7,000 views on it. Okay, so it just shows how much it's looked at and everything else. And I know it's a massive project, but as I said, I still maintain this is probably the finest ship build I've ever seen in the scale modelling world to date. His attention to detail is actually second to none. Not to mention, he's the nicest, most gentle, kindest man you'll ever meet in your life, and he's far, far too modest for his own good. Yes, that's you, Stefan. You keep telling me. Okay, but it is an absolute amazing build all the way through. So what we're going to do is just have a quick run through. This isn't every photo from the build, because trust me, it goes on forever, but this is key moments from his build and his final reveal of his amazing Trumpeter 1/200 scale. His work, attention to detail, I know most of you have been following it on the actual site itself and everything else, but this is going to be a sort of video montage to the end of it, because it is an absolute stunning job. So here we go. This is Stefan Carlson's amazing Trumpeter 1/200 scale Bismark, from start to finish, in probably God knows how long, with music. Alright, so until next week everybody, I'll have a proper show with a script and some notes and some general things of doing it, instead of me off on a rant. So until next week everybody, Stefan's Bismark, happy modelling and take care.